guys, Dr. Beddoe here, physical therapist, and today I want to talk about just the basics of starting an exercise program. One of the patients' houses that I went to had a caregiver, and he had some questions when it came to, just starting out an exercise program. I know that January 1st is coming up. A lot of people are going to be going back to the gym. So I want to get into just briefly, without getting too scientific, just where you want to start. We're not going to get too detailed. Those of you guys watching with a lot of experience, take away the mindset. We're just going to be able to go over some mindset here. And then after I go over just the basic mindset, basic principles, giving you guys a place to start, I'm going to go over some science behind kind of why we want to start there, and also some of the different metabolic systems that we have in our body that are at work. So I think it's really important to start off with kind of warming up your body, but stretching is going to be really important, especially if you guys have not been exercising or been on an exercise program for a while. Stretching is very important because we don't want to pull any muscles. But also, we want to have increased range of motion over time. We want to be able to free up that range of motion, get that range of motion stronger. And so I think stretching is important. I know I've done a few videos on stretching. Feel free to watch those videos to know a little bit more in-depth over how to stretch certain muscles, specifically how long you should be stretching for, depending on what age you're at. But stretching is very important. The next thing I want to focus on, because most people that are going back to the gym are really wanting to focus on weight loss. Weight loss specifically, right? So there's certain, obviously, zones that we want to get our heart rate to start burning more fat. And we want to be able to burn fat as we're walking. I think that a good rule of thumb is if you guys are able to walk with a purpose. Don't just saunter, right? But walk with a purpose. You guys should be able to carry on a conversation. If you guys are not able to carry on a conversation, you guys are probably going a little bit too hard, too fast. But you want to be able to carry on a conversation, be able to push yourself a little bit with that walking program. Same thing with individuals that are running, right? If you guys are wanting to be in a fat burning zone, you should be able to carry on a normal conversation, right? But also not be too slow, right? You want to have some purposeful movements, but you want to be able to carry on a conversation, else you're going more past 50 to 65% max heart rate, creeping into 70, 80% max heart rate, if you're really not able to carry on a conversation. So that's a good rule of thumb if you guys are not using a heart rate monitor, if you guys are not using a machine that has a heart rate monitor on it, then use that as a rule of thumb. If you guys do have access to a heart rate monitor, 50 to 65% of your max heart rate is going to be a good range for you to start burning more fat and not just burning glycogen stores and stuff like that. And then I think a really important thing for any weight loss program is going to be resistance training. I don't want people to start off really heavy, really hard, and have delayed onset muscle soreness the next couple days. But most likely you guys will be sore the following day, depending on what you guys are doing. I think it's best for someone that's starting off with a new exercise program to focus more on a power workout versus just a strength workout. And what I mean by that is that you guys don't just want to move a certain weighted object, right? You want to move that for time. I think it's good to be able to do more higher reps. I think doing greater than 12 reps is actually really key, but 12 should be a good point for you. But 12 to 24 really, to focusing on more of a power workout where you guys are able to lift a weight relatively easily over time. So that's going to be very different, but after about 3 or 4 reps, you guys should understand, like, oh, this is pretty easy to move. It's too easy, it's too hard. But if you guys are in that range, you guys will be focusing more on power, which is going to be, again, a cardiovascular component, so your heart rate's going to stay elevated, but then it's going to be a strength component and a power component because you're moving a certain weight for time, not just a certain weight, just one rep, right? So trying to do it more briskly, more fast, focusing on power. Why is resistance important? Resistance is important because muscle will burn calories at rest, fat will not. So it's important to be able to put both of those things into a workout program when you're trying to just get back into it, and especially for those of you trying to lose more weight. I think a good rule of thumb is to break up your exercises into different groupings. There's a lot of different schools of thought on this. Let's just keep it simple. I want you guys to mix it up into 3 different groups, and I want you guys to just focus on starting off with 3 days of resistance training just to get you going. All right, so how I would recommend breaking it up is focusing on shoulders and back, chest and triceps, and legs. Breaking it up, just simple, just easy. Those 3 groupings, 3 days the first week just to get going. And I want you to focus on 4 movements. And what I mean by movements is you guys can pick machines that are designed towards any of these areas, shoulders and back, chest and tris, your legs. Pick 4, right, different movements, and focus on doing 2 sets of, again, 12, just to start out. This is not supposed to be a long-term strategy. This is to get you going for the first couple of weeks so you guys can get some of that motor recruitment, so you guys can get back into the groove of things. So 4 movements. So for shoulders and back, you guys can do high rows, you guys can do low rows, you guys can do dumbbell presses overhead, you guys can do shoulder flexion up, you guys can do shoulder abduction, you guys can do some different movements, lots of different ways you can do it. But pick 4 and start there. And I think that's going to be a good rule of thumb for you to get going. give you some idea for chest, right? You guys can do a flat bench, you guys can do an incline bench, you guys can do a decline bench. For triceps, you guys can isolate the long heads, right? You guys can pull down to the side to be able to work all heads of the tricep. And also, if you guys really want to get specific, you guys can really start to isolate the chest, especially for pectoralis major muscle fibers. You guys can really mix it up and begin to isolate those fibers individually as you guys progress. But let's just start with 4 movements. When it comes to legs, a lot of muscles in your legs. Let's focus on some of the heavy movers. Let's focus on some squats. Let's focus on some quads, some hamstrings, right? So for you guys that are really just starting out, a machine that's going to be some version of this is going to be a squat, right? A machine that's going to be some version of kicking your leg out. I'm not sure if you guys can see me. It's going to be more quads specific, and then pulling back, hamstrings, and then let's throw in some calves in there, some calf raises. They can be weighted. They don't have to be weighted, but that's going to really get you going when it starts off with an exercise program. As you guys progress, feel free to comment. I can ask any questions as you guys are progressing through different exercise programs. If you guys are trying to work on specific muscles or wanting to have options as far as how to isolate different muscles, especially for bigger muscle groups, isolate specific muscle fibers when it comes to chest, more than happy to help you out there. But let's get you guys going on the first of the year, back into the exercise routine, into the exercise program. I do want to dive into some specifics, especially for focusing on cardio. So we're going to switch over here. So when it comes to the metabolic processes in the body, when it comes to how our body is really trying to create energy from things that we're consuming, how it's trying to take from fat stores, things are going to get converted down to what's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That's going to be the energy currency of the body. So there's 3 different ways we can kind of get there. So the first one is going to be the phosphagen. So the phosphagen system is usually going to be the first, all-out sprint, 0 to 10 seconds. This system is going to kick in. It's going to poop out really quick. It's not a system that really sustains you, but it's the creatine phosphate system, right? And so that's gonna bump out really quick. This is why we want to slowly warm up, because if that's the system that kicks on in your body, and we don't really try to progress and try to get to more of the bottom system, we'll get into that a little bit. You're gonna get burnt out really quickly. You're not gonna be able to have a sustained cardiovascular capacity for 10, 15, 20 minutes like we want you to have, so you can start burning more of that fat. The second system that we have is glycolysis. So this is going to be when we convert glucose and glycogen to pyruvate acid, or just pyruvate. It's going to create 2 ATP, and this is going to be more if you're trying to sustain yourself just for 30 seconds to 120 seconds, roughly in there. This is going to kick in quick. 2 ATP is not that much. When we're converting glucose and glycogen into pyruvate to make 2 ATP, it's a quick thing. And again, if that's all that's what we're trying to do, our heart rate's too high, we're going too fast, that's not going to sustain you. So really where people are going to be exercising in is going to be the aerobic system. Now, this is when we convert glycogen, glucose, and pyruvate gets converted into acetyl-CoA and enters the Krebs cycle. And the Krebs cycle is going to be able to produce 36 ATP through that conversion. Now, that's going to be a lot more energy, so therefore you're burning a lot more with that conversion, but you're able to sustain it a lot more as well. I know I'm getting really scientific, but the rule of thumb for this is that we want to be operating within the last system. And so if you start off too fast and too quick, you get stuck someplace up here, and your body's trying to catch up, and you're not going to be able to have a sustained energy or a sustained performance for a long period of time because you're operating on the wrong system. This is just kind of a 30,000 foot view. Let's not get into the whole specifics of it. Let's look at it from a mindset standpoint. We want to be operating here. You can train these systems individually, right? If you guys are a sprinter, well then we're really trying to train these, depending on if you guys are doing 100 yards, 200 yards, 400, 800, depending on what type of race you guys are doing. You can definitely train these systems to operate at a higher function, a higher capacity. But for the individuals that are really trying to get in shape, trying to lose weight, we really want to focus on this one. And that rule of thumb for that is go slow, warm up, and be able to ease into it and then sustain that and start getting into that fat burning zone. And then after you progress in your workout routine over the first 3-4 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, well then we can start doing a lot more intervals, right? Because we want to start bouncing between those different systems. We want to start burning, not just fat, but start burning different stores that we have in a good way. Hope that helps, guys. Again, the fat burning zone, 50 to 65% max heart rate. If you guys don't know max heart rate, look at the Carbonum formula. I do have a video on that, but you guys can Google that as well. And also, when it comes to strength versus power, higher reps performed, faster. It's going to be more of a power workout. Just a strength component is going to be performing higher weighted reps. So higher weight, low reps, and we're just focusing on performing the movement. So let's focus on power. Let's focus on the fat burning zone. Let's get you guys in shape. Feel free to comment. If you made it this far in the video, please like it. Please subscribe for some more videos. Comment, and I'll be more than happy to cater it towards whatever needs you guys have and be able to answer any questions. Have a good one.